I am someone who always got sick and tired of hearing about Planet X. Because as long as I've been on the air, people are saying, it's coming next year, it's coming in 3 years, it's going to happen. The ancients said it comes through every 20,000 years in a different type of orbit that doesn't go in circles around the sun, but goes way out past the Kuiper Belt and comes in basically at an elliptical. And then I started reading deeper into this planet, and there it was, a 20,000-year deformed orbit going out into deep space, 10 times the size of the Earth. It is Planet X, folks. Isn't that just perfect that this would just show up while all this circus is going on? Now I want to be clear about this. It fits the bill of Planet X. They're probably 50, 60, 100, 1,000, I don't know, Planet X's. They've already chronicled hundreds and hundreds of planetoids bigger than Pluto in the Kuiper Belt out past the former 9th planet, named after the god of the underworld. A fitting name. The Roman god of hell. So they said, no more 9th planet because we got to say we have hundreds of planets if there's things bigger than it. Well, Pluto's little. This sucker is gigantor. Compared to Pluto. They're in the news today, meteorologists talking about how the moon being full during the blizzard is going to make it worse, and it does. It affects space winds, winds of space, the sun, and a lot more. Why the full moon could make this weekend's blizzard more destructive. Who knows what this planet is going to do coming closer in to the solar system? Because here's the deal. It's been way out there for however long, and now they've tracked its course and think it's every 20,000 years, right out of what the ancient Babylonians and the Mayans and all these other cultures said this big planet comes through and that there's earthquakes and volcanoes and all hell breaks loose, and it comes through every 20,000 years, and then now here it comes. Now, I don't know if this is the one, because there's so many of them out there. Who knows what's out there? We're too busy looking at Hillary Clinton and going, I'm voting for her because she's a woman. Who cares? What I'm getting at is we don't have time for racism and sexism and all this fighting and all this garbage and all this divide and conquer when we have genetic engineering going on, splicing and mutating every species on the planet like something out of H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau, squared. Planet X, they've discovered it. 10 times bigger than Earth, the size of Neptune, a gas giant, with a 20,000-year orbit, exactly what a bunch of the ancients said. They said it when it comes back through, it causes massive catastrophes, volcanoes, you name it. By the way, Kit gave me a whole stack of articles about record volcanoes. I laid it somewhere, I think in there by the coffee pot. But I'm going to have to actually get to that halfway into the hour with Michael Schneider from the Economic Collapse blog and get his take on it. And here's the deal, folks. I don't want to say I'm eating my hat on this, but I've been very, very critical of the perennial books that have been coming out since the mid-'90s about Planet X is coming. It's a gas giant, 20,000-year elliptical orbit. But as I said earlier, what I was getting at is constantly saying it's coming next year and constantly saying it's the end of the world and the movie 2012, and then I get blamed for it. They would, I mean, so many news articles going, Alex Jones is the one that said we didn't go to the moon and that aliens run everything and that the Himalayas are going to be, you know, at sea level. Hey, Alex, 2012 didn't kill everybody. And so it just gets old. But it does show how the ancients were certainly right about big planets that come through, and there are big disasters, and there are big asteroids that hit the Earth, and there are big Earth changes, and the elite shouldn't be the focus of everything. They're all busy. I saw another headline last week going, Alex Jones says the elite want off-world colonies to escape Earth. I was quoting top elitist on their way to Davos saying that was going to be up for discussion. It was mainstream news. So even when there's mainstream news that, you know, Thiel and all these other folks and you know, the Tesla owner and all the rest of it are saying we need a Mars colony for the elite, I cover what they say, and then they go, Alex is crazy and made this up. So, see, that's how they operate. They think you're stupid. But I tell you, uncanny that the ancients said 20,000 years, bigger than the Earth, and all the rest of it, and here it is. The question is, we're trying to look at its orbit. I mean, is it even scheduled? I guess it's coming in closer. That's what they're saying. That's how they're able to see it now. It's coming in from this orbit. Because to quote Bob Dylan, you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our game. So let's us stop talking softly now because the hour is getting late. Let us stop talking softly now because the hour is getting late. Do I need to gouge your eyeballs out? To quote Full Metal Jacket, and you know what, your skull, to get you to start thinking, and I'm not talking to our general viewers or listeners or supporters, folks that are already awake. I'm talking to people like Esquire that had some big article this morning making fun of my rants. I'm just trying to get a population and a culture out of a coma to wake up to what's happening and stand up. I'm not some damn hero, man. I just recognize history and what's going on. Like Putin said, he said, what is your problem? Why can't I get through to you? Why don't you listen?
The Putin and Trump story started life on a conspiracy website called someonesbones.com, but has now been picked up by two different mainstream UK national newspapers. This is on top of the warnings they have already issued about Planet 9 tilting the whole solar system, massive Russian training exercises involving 40 million people, and Putin calling all Russian citizens back home. All of these warnings have come from the same UK media outlets, who appear at the moment to be leading the way with regard to information pertaining to the disclosure of the Nemesis star system. Although they themselves don't call it that, and just refer to it as Planet X or Nibiru. My own personal view is that neither Trump or Putin will disclose the real truth about what is going on. I believe the release of two news articles that we will look at later on in this video, along with previous controlled releases of information, is so that they don't have to disclose anything at all. If Trump or Putin were to make such an announcement, there would be global panic with commodities and financial markets collapsing overnight, along with uncontrollable rioting worldwide, which would only serve to make our global elite's goal to escape this inevitable cataclysm all the more difficult. They do want people to know, but only on their terms, and in a carefully orchestrated drip feed of information, just like we have been seeing for the last 12 months now. As the Illuminati have always stated, it would be ungentlemanly-like of them not to tell us what their plans are well in advance. There will be no announcement. Don't be fooled by this disinformation. Over time you will no doubt come across more news articles also claiming that full disclosure is about to happen, but as with the Someone's Bones news article, they will be impossible to verify. What you need to realize is that these mainstream news articles themselves are our disclosure. That is all you will get, and nothing more. Our evil rulers will save themselves. However, it does look like Putin has prepared for the arrival of the Nemesis star system, because he ordered the construction of 5,000 additional underground bunkers back in November 2010 to house even more of Russia's population. Military contractor Deagle.com even supports this fact with their 2015 population forecast for the year 2025, which shows that Russia's current population of 142 million only goes down to 140 million. The UK, on the other hand, have built no underground bunkers whatsoever to house any of its population. Once again though, Deagle.com supports this premise because they show the current UK population at 64 million, however their projection for the year 2025 goes all the way down to 19 million. Such a substantial reduction in population shows that anyone living in the UK will be left to perish above ground while the elite run to their fully stocked and well-prepared bunkers to try and ride out the cataclysm that the Nemesis star system will inflict upon us all.
New emergency bomb shelters will be created in Moscow. The city has just given architects the task of coming up with the designs. So let's speak to our correspondent Ivor Bennett to get a few more details on this. Ivor, why do the authorities want these shelters building? That's the big question.
Why? Well, it's because there are only enough shelters at the moment in the city to house and shelter around half the city's population, which, compared to other places in the world, isn't out of the ordinary. That figure is sort of 50% coverage. For example, Switzerland is the only country where there are enough shelters for the entire country's population. But Moscow wants to build another 5,000 shelters, not necessarily because it's expecting nuclear war. We shouldn't be running for cover or anything like that. It's a precaution because in the last 20 years, this area has been very underdeveloped. The current shelters, a lot of them are outdated and unprepared for this situation.
They're comforting to know they'll be there. Let's hope they'll never be needed. Thanks very much, our correspondent Ivor Bennett.
landscape around us and how remote this is. And then jutting out of the side of this Arctic mountain is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. And we have all been very excited to actually get inside and see for ourselves how what's being done here plays a very vital role when it comes to trying to mitigate against the consequences of climate change. So this is it.
This is it. This is the vault. This is what is built for humanity to survive. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It's here since 2008, built by the government of Norway, and it's one of the most amazing things you're going to see in your life. Yep, they look funny, but they protect you against ice falling down in the vault.
It's that cold.
It's that cold. So that's about 150 meters down into the mountain. This is becoming the permafrost here in granite. They built this like they built the tunnels in the Alps with a big machine, a big excavator. It took about 2 years to build, and it's built to last for a very long time. This is meant to be your way out if the power fails, if there is no lights, so you find your way out of the vault. So the seed deposit works like with any bank and a safe deposit storage in the basement of the bank. You bring your own seeds. You, as a depositing institution, you own them and you keep them, and only you can determine what happens with them. This is the main door to the active vault, one of the 3 vaults that we have. It's all frozen up because inside it's minus 18 Celsius year-round. And this is typically the place everyone wants to have a picture taken. This is world agriculture behind that door. Everything you're going to need for the world to survive in terms of agriculture is safely kept here for the future. We have 860,000 types of crops. Each probe has 100 to 1,000 horns. So if you look at the number of individual grains in here, it could be close to 1 billion.
My nose is
in the world, which I find an amazing concept.
in the event of a cataclysmic occurrence, this would stay and preserve these seeds for how long?
It can stay for many, many years, 10, 20, 30 years time. So you have a lot of time to think about what to do, even if power fails here and doesn't get restored. It's a safe place.
It is truly remarkable and such a unique experience. The general population doesn't have access to this vault, and we're among the few who have actually been inside. And as Michael said, it really does make you pause and think about how what is being done here is really helping to safeguard our future.
We're sending a message. We have the capacity to do it, and the message he'll know it. He'll know it. It'll be at the time of our choosing, and under the circumstances that have the greatest impact. Is not what people think. And I tell you what, to the extent that they do, we will be proportional in what we do. And
so a message is going to be sent. Will the public know?
I hope not.